This is Ward Burton from Halifax, Virginia. A kid from Calder, New York, named Tim Bender lines up beside him. There you see the rest of them, all looking shiny and new, and that's the last time you're going to see them that way. 40 of them ready to roll. This 150-miler, which ought to be full body slam kind of contact stock car action. We're just about ready to turn those people loose. Let's remind you again that Alan Kowicki is on the pole for the 600. He did it with a time of 173 miles per hour, and that is going to put Ford in the entire front row for the event. It's the 10th time that Ford has been on the pole for the 600. It is the 9th time for Alan Kowicki in his career, and it is the second time for Kowicki in 1989. There's positions 1 through 10. Looking down through, there's Brett Bodine rounding out the front of the field. Let's look a little further back now at the second part of the order. You see Kowicki and Martin in the row 1, Schrader and Wilson to be in row 2. Then it will be Waltrip and Wallace for row 3. And in that next row back, that would be Wilson and Waltrip. And I think we have a mistake there, because that would be Waltrip and Wilson. And oh, that's Michael Waltrip in there as well. We haven't seen Michael up that far before. Darrell Waltrip in the 17, Michael Waltrip in the 30. And then Jeff Bodine is back there in the 10th position. On the inside of him would be Ricky Rudd. Now, there are the other positions. These are the other men that have qualified. And there you see Richard Petty has made it here today in grand style. Terry Labonte, Jeff Bodine, former pole sitter Dale Earnhardt, Bill Elliott. There's a surprise that he's back that far, but I think he's thrilled that he's in it here with the tremendous competition we've had. Dick Trickle, what an outstanding job for him today. Davey Allison, Mark Marlin, Greg Sachs, and Lake Speed round out the top 20 for the 600. Any surprises there, John?
Well, the surprise is how close the cars are to me. It's 0.6 of a second between first and 20th, and I don't even know what 0.6 of a second is. I always thought you could say 1,001, that was a second. So those guys are flying, but they're all bunched, and you know that some of the cars that qualify up front are good cars, but there's some cars behind them that the drivers have a lot more experience, and you can see a lot of people coming through the pack, so I think it's going to be a fun start to this race.
There's the man on the pole, and I mean he's on the pole. Alan Kowicki, about to enjoy the bubbly after taking the pole position for the 600. We'll be back for the start of the action with the Sportsman Super Speedway 150-miler in just a moment. These 3,500-pounders, similar to Winston Cup cars, on a super speedway. And right now, I think Steve Burns is standing by with the pole sitter, a young man from Halifax, Virginia, named Ward Burton, who's had a lot of experience up there. He's in an Oldsmobile. There you see him down on the pole. And let's see what his nerves are like right now. Steve?
Ken, the biggest track Ward has ever raced on is a half mile at Martinsville, Virginia. Ward, your feelings with this big high bank staring you right in the face here in turn 1?
Well, I'm looking real forward to it. You know, I just hope everybody uses their head and doesn't try to win on the first lap. Maybe we'll have a good, clean race today.
Ward, do you want to get out in front to avoid any trouble? It could get hairy.
Yeah, it really could. I'm going to try to, you know, get the lead the first of the race here and set a pace. And if some people want to run a little harder and I'm comfortable with to start with, I'll let them go and try to be back out at the end.
Okay, and with the 2-barrel carburetors these cars have, they'll race at about 150 miles an hour.
Indeed, he qualified at 152.040 to take the pole. When you realize today they're up to 173, that gives you an idea of how much they are restricted with these 2-barrel carburetors. The man on the outside of the front row is from Colden, New York. Driving a Buick is a young man named Tim Bender, 31 years old. He's from just outside the Buffalo, New York area. You saw his first races up at the Holland Speedway. And let's have a little chat right now with Tim Bender, former snowmobile world champion 4 times.
And Ken, he's run here twice before in Darlington Dash Cars. Any butterflies?
A few. This is the first time I've run a race in a 3,500-pound car, so it's a little bit different.
Okay, this is an ex-Ron Bouchard Super Speedway Buick, and right behind it is a car with a famous racing name, Bodine. Winston Cup drivers Brett and Jeff own this car. Todd Bodine is the driver. Now, Boy, you're running for the family money today. You've got to do well.
Well, you know, we're just going to do as good as we can. This Uniden Eloquence Buick is running really well. We're happy with it. I'm very comfortable in the car. I feel very comfortable on the track. And around here and just use your head and stay out of trouble, and hopefully we'll be there at the end.
Well, they gave him what may have been the most helpful hint at all. Plug the sponsors in the first sentence. Ken?
He has that down. Now, he's the kid with the trouble. He has Bobby Hillen, Kenny Bouchard, and both of his brothers all on headsets, all giving him advice at the same time. The pressure on that young man is immense as he gets ready to go here today. And, of course, they all think one way or another about how to drive those race cars. Now, you see the front row with a guy who is 2 weeks ago, he was racing up in the snow up in Canada, and here he is in sunny Carolina, making his first effort in one of these forms of racing. Now they've given the command to fire the engines, and for these 40, this is a big moment.
Oh, yeah, they can say whatever they want, but they got to be really nervous and apprehensive. The one I think's really wild is Kurt Shelmerdine, who is Dale Earnhardt's crew chief, is starting in row 11. And Earnhardt's been telling him how to drive, and you cannot lift in these turns. Hold it flat out, Kirk. Hold it flat out. So I hope Kirk didn't listen to Earnhardt.
Okay. Well, let's pause for these commercial messages, and then we'll be back with the start live here on this Wednesday afternoon at the Charlotte Motor Speedway of the Super Speedway 150 for sports. To go, and let's take a look at the lineup for 100 laps, 150 miles. Ward Burton from Halifax, Virginia, cut his teeth in racing at South Boston and Orange County, is on the pole, and beside him comes Tim Bender from Colden, New York. Mark Cox out of Walnut Cove, North Carolina, will start in row 2 in car number 31, and beside him is Todd Bodine, one of the Bodine brothers. Then comes Dennis Setzer, who has been a track champion at Caraway and at the Hickory Speedway, and he's in car number 4 out of Newton, North Carolina. And beside him is Jerry Knowles of Tyrone, Georgia, number 65. Row 4 is Jack Sprague from Kannapolis, North Carolina, and Randy Porter in car number 5 from Greenville, South Carolina. Row 5 this afternoon will be Ron Burchett of Walkerton, North Carolina, and Jay Fulgelman of Durham, North Carolina. Row 6 is Lynn Gibson. He's from Burlington, North Carolina, and Jerry Rector out of Fountain Inn, South Carolina, could do some running today. Row 7, Doug Diderot from Dundas, Ontario, and Bobby Faggart of Concord, North Carolina. Row 8 is Richie Petty. That's the nephew of Richard Petty, Maurice's son, and flanking him is Jim Neighbors out of North Carolina. Row 9 is Sandy Steigel of Roxborough, North Carolina, and Henry Benfield, who's been on all kinds of crews for Junior Johnson for years. Row 10 is Phil Rogers from Charlotte, Robert Huffman of Claremont, North Carolina. Row 11 is Pete Pistone of a well-known racing family, and Kurt Shelmerdine, the crew chief for Dale Earnhardt, out here giving it a crack. In row 12 is Stanley Smith and Mike Wiggins from Kingston, North Carolina. Row 13 is Dana Dorman of Greensboro and Glenn Moffitt of Charlotte, North Carolina. Row 14, Jim Vandenberg from Wisconsin, and Timothy Edwards out of Ohio in the number 12. Row 15, Dale Anderson and Mike McCurry. Then in row 16, it's Gary Lloyd and David Baldwin. Row 17, as they head into the backstretch, is Dwayne Burrows and G.W. Geringer. Row 18 is Dale Creeder of St. Petersburg, Florida, and Doug Bird out of Denver, North Carolina. Row 19, Doug Sanders of Belmont, North Carolina, T.C. Carter of Yorkton, Virginia, and rounding out the field is David Brakefield from Henderson, North Carolina, and alongside is Richard Burgess from Dover Plains, New York. 40 cars ready to go, inexperienced drivers getting their first chance, slowed down to 150 miles per hour instead of the 180 clip we've been seeing, but that's still a very good clip. You know, 10, 15 years ago, they've been fighting for the pole. Here they come, 100 laps, 150 miles the distance. Hold the children's hand and move well back.
But Dick Beatty scared them to death, so...
yeah, they had a rookie meeting, and they had about 4 drivers waiting. I think they'll get in at least 4 or 5 laps before they have a problem. Then somebody's going to say, heck, this is no different from Caraway. And when they put their foot down, stand back, because it could be the 4th of July for Memorial Day here at Charlotte Motor Speedway.
Well, we're door to door going into turn 1.
They're off to a very respectable start, and Ward Burton, 27 years old, out of Halifax, Virginia, out in front, started when he was 11 years old, gets himself a very good start. and they're being very careful. Katie read them the Old and New Testament about how to run around this track the other day, and then he had the drivers come in, and by the time they got done, they were more pale than if they had run 600 miles under very rigorous conditions. He really gave them something to think about.
Well, he borrowed the movie from the Highway Patrol showing terrible accidents, and that really got everyone attention. So,
and they also had a movie that Darrell Waltrip has done for rookie drivers in Winston Cup, which I think is one of the best things that's ever been done. It really gives a freshman driver in any series a sense about what a super speedway is all about. So here you see Ward Burton out in front, and Tim Bender, the New York driver. He's the 4-time F3, and that's the big snowmobiles world champion up in Wisconsin. Oh, we got trouble up in turn 4. 2 cars in trouble, 3 cars spinning and crashing. Now another one is in. Oh, this looks like it's going to be a long afternoon. This race is 150 miles for breakfast, whichever comes first.
We got through 2 laps.
I think I won a nickel on this. I think I bet on 1 lap. Turn 4 was where they first got in trouble. Car number 50 was spinning up there, getting back underway. Let's see who else is in trouble. Car number 81, that's Todd Bodine's car. Now he'll have some answering to do to his brothers. Here's 81 on the inside, creeping on. He got loose for just a second, banged the 4, slid. Now let's see if he tries to pick it up. He does. He tries to get it back up, and then the fun really begins. Began there. There you see that second car just tagging him, and here's 3 cars taking evasive action by driving down pit road, and we're off to the start. Bodine back underway. Todd Bodine, who is a member of one of the Winston Cup pit crews, getting his first opportunity on a super speedway and finding out what it's like sideways at 150 miles an hour.
Well, that's also good experience because he probably won't holler at his brothers when they have the same problem.
Well, that's exactly why Kurt Schoenberdine was saying he wanted to get out here. He said, I'm only doing this so I'll have a better sense of what Dale Earnhardt goes through out here on the track. I don't think that I believe that.
I think what he wants to do is have Dale fix the car if there's any problem with it, to show both ways what we go through.
Todd Bodine's car number 81 in for a little recuperative work, and we'll be back with more. Well, the action happened after just a couple of laps. They've now completed 4 of the 100 to be run, with Ward Burton still out in front, the young man on the pole, Tim Bender in second, and Mark Cox, who's had a lot of experience in motorcycles, took 3 or 4 years off and actually worked on the Winston Cup circuit in public relations. He's third. Dennis Setzer, there's a great racing name, is fourth. He's my choice to win. Dennis Setzer, I think he's like a 4th cousin of the great Ned Setzer. And if your name is Setzer, you're supposed to have the balance to drive one of these things with your eyes closed. Let's see what he's going to do. He's running 4th. Then 5th is Dale Creeder in the Buick. 6th is Randy Porter. And Jay Fulkelman is in 7th. As we go back under green, 4 complete. And I guess we're going to get into the green flag, okay. We're off and running one. Ward Burton stays out in front as the field loosens up a bunch here. His brother, Jeff Burton, and his dad got him started. Jeff Burton did some very good racing up in the Virginia area. The horse really coming along. He had 6 top 5 finishes. He's 1 win in South Boston in Orange County. And right now, Ward Burton is out in front. Meanwhile, we got a pretty good battle building up for second. There you see the leader. That's that 62 car. And the 19 car stays in second, Tim Bender, followed by Mark Cox. Mark Cox right there. And it's Dennis Setzer's maintaining 4th. Dennis Setzer, to me, looks like a real racer. I think you may hear more of him in years to come. He's got that look about him.
See, that's what's great about this race. It gives these kids a chance to showcase themselves and look for sponsors, let fans know who they are, and see what it's like to really run these things, to see if they really want to do it when they grow up.
Here they are completing another lap, and I think we're going to make it all the way through lap 7. Mark Cox continues to run in 3rd place out there, the red car number 31. We asked Mark what was the purpose of this new Sportsman Division of NASCAR. Did you see him challenge?
I think what they're really after in the Sportsman Division is they're giving drivers like myself and your weekly short track driver an opportunity to run on the super speedways and gain the super speedway experience that you need to move into the Winston Cup Series. It takes a lot of experience.
And And the guy that's on the move is Dennis Setzer in this number 4. He had something like 23 wins last year on the short tracks, and he was the Caraway track champion last year, and he just moved under Cox in the number 31, the young man that was speaking to you, and he's closing right now, moving up, back straightaway on car number 19.
The nice move that Setzer made was he got under him, then pushed him up toward the wall, making him lift, and that looks like a Winston Cup move. He's still on the charge right here. He tries to come down.
Here they are back to the line, and well out in front remains Ward Burton. He is doing a nice job. Ward Burton first, Tim Bender second, Dennis Setzer's in third, as they now complete 9 laps. Drivers taking the opportunity to just to kind of relax and watch this. Here is the lead car, back straightaway, 27-year-old Ward Burton. Car right there, the number 4 that Setzer's driving, that's challenging for second. That is the car that Phil Barkdahl drove a year ago at Daytona that was in that accident with Richard Petty when Richard went end over end and side over side, and that Barkdahl car was sold off. It was the Helen Ray Dave Marcus machine, and for $20,000 they're out here going big time. And here's Dennis Setzer setting his mark on the second place. Ken Schrader's watching down on pit road right now. Let's check in on him.
I guess you could say Ken is the unofficial crew chief for Henry Benfield. Now, Henry Benfield is the truck driver and the gas man on the Folger Chevrolet team. Rick Hendrickos. Ken, have you had a chance to talk to Henry inside the car?
I didn't hear what you said, but Darrell Walter was spotting for him when they had that little accident up there. Darrell told him to back it down, and Henry thought he said spin it around, so Henry spun out.
What has Henry said to you so far?
Well, Henry hasn't done a lot of talking. He's keeping pretty busy just hanging on. But we're giving him all kinds of good, useful information, I'm sure.
Well, I'm sure he's giving you a lot of hot tips on what the quick way around the track is. What are you telling him?
Yeah, well, he pretty much thinks that it's a pretty easy job now after being out there just for a couple laps. And he's bucking for one of our... Darrell just told him that they're racing now, so it'd be a good time to stand on the gas.
So he better keep his day job then. Thank you.
Been a gas man on numerous cars, basically for Junior Johnson for eons, and he's one of the most well-liked people in Winston Cup racing. Wouldn't be a race if Henry Benfield wasn't there, and Henry right now is scooting right along, well back in the field, enjoying his first moment of glory on the super speedway. What every mechanic who works out there in the infield, garage area, pit area, all your dreams about is happening for Henry. Look at this good battle for second place.
Well, Henry Benfield's a crew chief's dream.
Why?
Because Henry stutters, and he couldn't talk to you a whole lot on the radio anyway when he gets excited, so you don't have to listen to everybody tell you don't have any power, the car's not working, and all that stuff. So that's what they'd like is drivers not to be able to talk all crew chiefs.
Poor Henry. Can you imagine having Darrell Waltrip up there, Mr. Gabby, being your spotter, telling you where to go and what to do throughout this thing, and also being assisted by Schrader, who is one of the tricksters and jokesters of the game out there in the Winston Cup garages day after day. He's always thinking of something neat to do. Meanwhile, the car leading is this number 62, Wade Burton from Virginia. Now, I asked Wade earlier what his main concern would be in this race.
The lap cars and the people behind me, people in front of me, are they going to watch what's in the rearview mirror? Are they going to think before they make some movements? You know, that's my main concern is have the drivers here, are they going to drive with the experience that I think most of them have got, or is it going to be a demolition derby?
Well, so far, they're doing very well. They've completed 14 of 100 laps, and that is Ward Burton, who has had 6 top 5 finishes this year and 1 win up in South Boston in the Orange County. We got a spin at turn 4. One man looping it down in the grass, rolling along down through. Let's get an identification on him as he brings the car to a halt. It's the number 11. I think that's Henry. I think that's Henry Benfield, who's had a little problem out here. Car number 11 loops it, gets it all gathered back up, and is away and ready to run another time.
Well, Henry was complaining prior to the race that he didn't have a whole lot of engine. Here we have it on a replay. And he's just flying in there. Nobody touches him.
Oh, I think somebody tapped him.
No,
I think
no,
that white car tapped him.
No,
I don't think Henry would have done that himself.
No, I think that was, I think Henry just lost it. Drove it in too hard.
He was trying to the Waltrip Wallace incident a week ago. Darrell was giving him some advice about how to take care of things if you get nipped up there. Henry Benfield.
He's pretty, isn't he?
Yeah.
Henry's the guy that plays all the practical jokes on everybody in the garage here. You do not eat anything that Henry gives you.
Ever.
You don't.
Henry had the first fire suit that was ever worn down here, and I'll never forget. He was so proud of it. It was tailor-made. And he jumped over the wall the first time he ever wore it, tore out the drawers all the way down, and he's so gentle, and he was so embarrassed. And he had to stay that way the rest of the day. He said at least it was cool. Ward Burton continues to lead in car number 62. 27-year-old young man, single. This 86 Oldsmobile stays up in front. We're in our second caution of the day with 16 of 100 laps complete. We'll be back with more. We're under caution after Henry Benfield did a little mowing of the grass here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway out of turn number 4. Ward Burton is leading. Tim Bender is in second. Dennis Setzer is in third. And Setzer's been giving Bender fits over the last 3 or 4 laps. Mark Cox is fourth. Randy Porter is fifth. Jack Sprague is in sixth. Ron Burchett, a Pontiac driver, is seventh. Jerry Rector is being shown as eighth. Jay Fogelman is in ninth. Doug Diderot, Chevrolet, runs in 10th position. They're 1 lap away from turning them loose once again as we watch the christening, the inauguration of a new series here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. They have 3 races for this division. If you ever dreamed of going to a super speedway, well, here they are in super speedway cars, and they've curved the speed to about 150 miles per hour, which is enough to get your jollies, John, and still give you some real bona fide experience on a racetrack. This is probably the best driving school NASCAR's ever invented for super speedway. We may see some kids out of here that have really got the makings.
Oh, I think we will. In 1980, 150 miles an hour made the field at the Charlotte at the World 600. So
Headlines
these guys,
in the Observer.
Yeah, these guys aren't going slow. You know, it's they really are. It's just tried to control it from a cost factor so these people could afford to do it.
Back in the 11th position is Kurt Shelmerdine, the crew chief for the black number 3 that we are so familiar with in Winston Cup Racing, Dale Earnhardt. There's Shelmerdine, and there's Henry Benfield down the inside. Here's a word from Steve Burns down on pit road.
Well, Henry Benfield just went through the school of hard knocks on the racetrack. Take a look at this tire. It's shredded, and believe me, it's still very hot, and it's smoking. So he took a wild ride, and let's see if he can take it back, keep it straight.
Henry will want that for a coffee table.
Now let's go to my
souvenir.
Again, some of these teams are very adept at making pit stops, like the Childress Wild Bunch that's pitting Kirk Shelmerdine. And meanwhile, a little further down pit road, there are some folks here that are taking, well, perhaps a little more casual approach to pit stops in a 150-mile race. We're set to go back to green.
Here we are, back under green, and they come out smoking. Down into turn number 1 goes your leader, Ward Burton out of Virginia. Tim Bender in second. And a Setzer from Catawba County goes in third spot here as they stretch him out into the back straightaway. And immediately you see Setzer down on the inside in the white and red car challenging from third position on Tim Bender out of the Buffalo, New York area. Tim Bender, who's won 11 world championships in snowmobile racing over in Eagle River, Wisconsin. We've seen him many times on Motor Week, winning event after event. He's probably the best snowmobile racer in the world today. And here he is, getting a chance at super speedway racing and holding off Setzer another time. Dennis Setzer, 86 track champion of Hickory, 14 wins that year. Now gets it wound up on the inside. Sure, it's just like Caraway. There's nothing to it.
Oh, me. I tell you, they're doing a good job, and I'm really impressed with Ward Burton. His car is much stronger. He feels more comfortable getting around because he is able to pull off.
That white car, number 4, that's the Setzer car. And the aqua car out in front is the Ward Burton machine. Setzer has now gone into second place. Good scramble going down here into turn number 1. That's the battle for second. Pretty strong going, about 8 guys there. Now you see Setzer drawing away just a little. That red car on the bottom moving along, I believe, is the Cox automobile.
Yes, that
fell back for a while. Now he's coming back into this thing. Dennis Setzer into second. Tim Bender has fallen to third in the number 19, the white and red car. And that red machine way on the bottom Now that's Mark Cox, and he could do some good running before this day is over. He really has a lot of determination. He got his girlfriend's mother and father to sponsor the car. That takes some doing. They've completed 22 of the 100 laps, and continuing to draw away. He hasn't been challenged very much as Ward Burton in that aqua-colored car up in front. Here you see this white car. That's the number 4. That's Setzer. And here's Bender in the 19. And right behind them comes Cox. Tires are all old Goodyear tires, and they were sold at $60 each. Real bargain.
I'm sure the Winston Cup drivers wish they would sell them some for $60 each.
Here you see Cox in the 31, the red car, closing up. Ever closer on Tim Bender, the world snowmobile champion.
You know, a race tire costs like $190 a tire now, so every time you come in, you know, tire bills are $8,000 and $10,000 a race for the Winston Cup team. So they got a harder tire that hopefully can last a long way, and they're trying to keep the cost down in the circuit so these people can compete, and it's a great idea.
At their very best out here, you see Cox in the number 4, once again closing ground, moving up all the time, get himself back into this thing. Just a little experience. Seems to have it handling very, very well. Here's that battle a little further back. The number 74 car getting into the thick of things here. That would be Jack Sprague out of Kannapolis, North Carolina. He's another comer. That's that yellow and blue machine. Jack Sprague in the number 74. He's moving up on Mark Cox in the 31 from Walnut Cove, North Carolina. 88. Last year he ran some over at Hickory. And was Rookie of the Year at Hickory. That's Mark Cox in the 31. Jack Sprague, he's just 24 years old in that blue and yellow car that's closing up. He raced late models at the Berlin Raceway in Kalamazoo and Grand Rapids up in Michigan. That's that blue and yellow machine getting his first chance at a super speedway. He worked for Roger Hamby for a year trying to get some experience. And that car, that blue and yellow car, is the car that Donnie Allison wrecked in the Sportsman 300 down at Daytona a year ago. Remember that one that crashed the tri-oval, the hood came off and went flying 30 or 40 feet in the air? That's the car that Donnie Allison was driving. A lot of old Winston Cup cars are out here with these youngsters getting a chance to see what they can do. 24-year-old lad in that blue and yellow car in this very good battle with a guy who's very used to driving on the ice and snow, Tim Bender, out of New York State from near Buffalo. He's currently maintaining 3rd, and right behind him comes Cox, and with him comes Jack Sprague, Springfield, Michigan, that blue and yellow car. 25, 26 laps down, about a quarter of the distance gone in this very good scrap. You're watching the battle for 3rd place. And now you see the interval up to 2nd. That was Setzer in the white car that's still maintaining the spot. Jack Sprague trying the outside now, getting his confidence level up. And aren't they driving well, John? We kid a lot about this was going to be a Wreckham rodeo, a demolition derby. Now watch me say it as it immediately starts. But they're doing a handsome job out here.
Well, the thing I'm impressed with, they're not only running well, they're running close together and door to door. And the thing that impresses me about this is that, you know, I'm watching this race, and it doesn't look a lot different than a Winston Cup race to me. The only thing where these kids get in trouble is when they get on the brakes or they see an accident happening there on the high banks. The car does funny things to them.
From the outset, Ward Burton has stayed in front. And a little shaky there for just a moment with number 31, the red car of Cox. And look at this battle. Up on the outside goes Sprague. They're going to stack him 3 deep. Good night, nurse.
Well, Cox was smart enough to get out of it and he prevented. And that's good heady driving. He had him cleared, and he just made sure that he gave him room. Sprague
moves around and takes over 4th position as we see Ward Burton of Halifax, Virginia, 27 years old, continue to lead this 150-miler. Ward Burton of Halifax, Virginia, in this Oldsmobile continues to lead this 150-mile, 100-lap contest. For new drivers getting their first opportunity to try out a super speedway and a 3,500-pound Winston Cup-type car. 2-barrel carburetor restricting down about 152 miles an hour, and he's been terrific out in front. Maintaining 2nd now is Dennis Setzer out of North Carolina. Jack Sprague is moving into 3rd. That's the Michigan driver, and the New York State driver, Tim Bender, has fallen back into 4th position. Now here you see the 19 car, that's Tim Bender. Mark Cox is challenging him in 5th. That's Tim Bender in 4th, the 19, and the red 31 is Mark Cox in 5th. Then Jerry Richter 6 should be coming up in the picture next. Good scramble going on here.
Ken, Ward Burton has about a 5-second lead on the 2nd place Dennis Setzer right now, to give you an idea how far he is.
He's driving very well. He's staying out of trouble, staying right. Oh, we've got a car spinning in turn 4 and bouncing off the inside wall. Here comes the 3rd caution of the day. That's caution number 3. They've all been created by spin-outs. This will bring the field back together as car number 8. Phil Rogers from Charlotte, North Carolina, spins his Chevrolet out in turn number 4. And there is no caution. He's spun to the inside. There's nothing on the track, and they keep trucking. 35 laps are down. Jack Sprague in 3rd. Bender stays in 4th, and I believe that's Jerry Rector who's now climbing up in the 03. Indeed, he's making a real charge. Number 8 is in. There's your leader. 62. 2nd spot remains Dennis Setzer, who's trying to close on the leader. And Ward Burton is now darting through traffic, having to get through the eye of the needle about every half lap through some heavy lap traffic, and he's doing it very well.
Well, the 74, Jack Sprague, is running Dennis Setzer down the race for 2nd and 3rd, and he's starting to gain on him.
The 03 car has just moved up again. That Jerry Rector car is flying. He's coming up through, and there's the 74. You see him moving up, Jack Sprague. That's that blue and yellow car. Here he is up under Setzer, and he has been moving really strong. They lapped the 72. They're coming up to put a lap on number 61, Dana Dorman. There's the 4. There's Setzer. This is the battle for 2nd place. And this boy, Jack Sprague, the 24-year-old out of Spring Lake, Michigan, is making a dandy run here.
Well, he's driving a smart race, too. They ran up on slow traffic. He started to go under. He saw that there could be trouble. He let him go, and I'll try to go after him, catch him in the clean part of the racetrack.
He has moved down to the North Carolina area. He races regularly, the boy in the blue and yellow car at the Concord Speedway here in North Carolina. And he's closing again on number 4, Setzer, and I think they have seen each other before. Leader in heavy in some traffic. He's going to be in some heavier traffic here shortly.
I think that's where you've got to be real careful. He's lapping a lot of cars. He has to be cautious. He has a nice lead, but he has to also be real smart and try to anticipate what the drivers in front of him are going to do.
Struggle continues a little further back here. Dennis Setzer and Jack Sprague battling for the 2nd spot with 38 laps complete as the 62 noses out in front. There you see him, young Ward Burton from Virginia, doing an outstanding job here at Charlotte, coming around to complete lap 39. Meanwhile, there's that battle for 2nd, and there you see Setzer staying right with the program on the inside and on the outside. Number 74, Jack Sprague makes his move, and the Michigan driver moves around to take the spot.
That was a Winston Cup move. He saw the slow car in the low lane. He moved up high to force Setzer behind the slow car and drove right by him.
29-year-old Setzer in the number 4 car. He's had 75 or 76 wins in short tracks this part of the country. Started out in street stocks and moved up to late model sportsman. Started out by watching Harry Gant, thinking he was the greatest thing he'd ever seen. And here he is falling back to the number 4, to this number 74. And look at this guy come, Jack Sprague, Spring Lake, Michigan driver, who has moved down here into the Carolinas. He wants to go win some Cup racing, works on anything he can find to work on, and doing an outstanding job at this juncture of the race. 40 laps complete, 10 shy of halfway.
Well, he's certainly working traffic well and taking good care of his car. And, of course, he's probably 6 or 7 seconds behind Ward Burton. But, you know, if he gets that caution, which he thinks he will get, he hopes he'll get a shot at it.
You bet. He's now running in 2nd. Let's go to Mike Joy.
Ken Sprague came from deep in the pack. He's made an impressive run to come up to second. Robert Hampton is his crew chief. You sure Dale Earnhardt's not driving that car?
I didn't hear you.
So you sure that's not Dale Earnhardt in that car? He's doing a tremendous job.
As far as race, we got the car a little tight from the beginning, hoping it gets better as the race goes on.
Are you trying to set a pace for him, or is he just running what's comfortable?
Whatever he wants.
Well, whatever he wants is taking him to the front and fast.
Yes, and he is closing. He is moving up on that leader all the time. Car number 62, Ward Burton, stays in front, and we'll check that interval for you between first and second. It's kind of healthy. It's 4.5 seconds, but he definitely is closing ground.
Well, the good thing about it was 7 seconds not that long ago, so he's closing quickly.
We've got a blue-gray game here. We've got a Confederate driver, Sprague, closing.
Just notice how well he works that traffic. That's what's impressing me. Working the bank.
And about to lap Henry Benfield. Henry Benfield in number 11. Waltrip is yelling at him, stand on it, Henry. And here comes Henry right back. Where'd that guy come from? Henry's what, now about 42, 43?
I'd say Henry's closer to 60. He lies about his age. I think he's been here. I think
he'll chase you with a wrench.
I think he's old.
He's sure having a good time. Meanwhile, Sprague is really showing some. 38 cars of the 40 that started are still running as we finished 43 laps. Only 2 cars have retired from the event. We've had 3 cautions, all caused by spins. Let's check that interval again between first and second and see if Sprague is indeed shortening up that interval between himself and the leader, Virginia's Ward Burton. Michigan Sprague in second, Dennis Setzer from North Carolina in third, and Tim Bender from New York State running in fourth.
Ward Burton's caught in a pack of traffic, and he's certainly having trouble getting through it.
Checking that interval between the first and second place cars once again. There you see, there's the second place car. John has out his Big Ben here. We'll see what that reads.
Here, I had to find one of those lines.
Coming back to the stripe is the leader as he laps car number 50. And to the stripe comes number 74.
It's about the same interval.
About the same interval. About 4 8/10. Traffic is playing a big factor here. And they're being very careful with their cars and not overdriving. Both of them doing an excellent job. North versus South, and the South is out in front as we close on the halfway mark in this 150th day. They didn't even have to bring out a caution. He's driven around in for tires. Let's go down there and check on car number 11 with its crew chief. Steve?
Thank you, Ken. We're down here in the pits. Ken Strader's calling directions to Henry right now. They're changing 4 tires around to the inside now. And if anyone has an all-star pit crew, it's Henry Benfield. We've got some guys from the Miller team, the Budweiser team. They're about to drop the jack. Ken, what's Henry saying right now? What's Henry saying right now after that last spin?
I didn't hear what said.
How's Henry feeling out there after he went through the turn 4 pretty wild again?
Well, you know, Darrell and I are trying to help him. We've already got him 3 laps down. I guess about 4 or 5 now. But we told him not to worry about it. He still had half the race to make it up.
Does he have more respect for you now after being on that track for 50 laps?
Well, he hasn't said much when we've asked him about how easy it is. So we'll talk to him afterwards.
Thank you.
Well, Henry has learned how it is to get him sideways out here. Here he is back on the track after a 4-tire change, and there's your leader. Car number 62, Ward Burton, trying to stay out in front of Jack Sprague, the Virginia driver, in front of a Michigan and New York driver in second and third. Take that back. Dennis Setzer has gone around Tim Bender, and it is now a North Carolinian in third. Bender, the Empire State driver from New York, is fourth. The Stone Gang, which originally came down from Chicago, I guess they're North Carolinians now, run fifth. Then in sixth is the Ron Burchett car, the number 30. And that's out of Walkerton, North Carolina, Pontiac. Checking that interval first to second another time. How's it standing, John?
About the same, 4.5 seconds, and they're both working traffic about the same. The cars seem to be pretty equal. If they get the caution, I think we'd really have a shootout here at the end.
And I can't believe it, what they may see another caution. Remember, this is amateur night at the Rialto here. These are drivers, many of whom have had a lot of experience on half and quarter mile, but it's a whole heap different when you get yourself on a super speedway. They're doing a grand job. They've just crossed the halfway distance. They're now at 52 laps of the 100 to be run in this 150-mile event. There's your second place man. Jack Sprague in there. We got trouble again. And a car in the wall right here at the start-finish line. I think that is Charles Trentham's car that's knocked a hole in the wall. Sitting there with the front end badly beaten in. The car really took a hit. He got up in the wall. I think he was trying to go around a man on the outside. And that is Jim Neighbors' car. Jim Neighbors in the John Curlin Chevrolet. And he's turned it around. He is down here on the main straightaway, just about 300 feet across the start-finish line. Security moving everybody back from the fence, which is a good idea. That's not a good place to stand. There you see the 25, the Shelmerdine car going by, and right behind him comes the number 70. I thought I saw some smoke out of Doug Diderot's car from Ontario. Well, Jimmy's hopes in car number 50 lie shattered here. They were stacking him a couple deep. I think the man moved out just a little, and away he went into the wall. Unfortunate for Jimmy Neighbors, who started in the 16th position out here today.
I think everybody will be coming down pit road now to gas up. Jimmy Neighbors is from Bun Level, North Carolina.
Now, where's that?
It's Bun Level, North Carolina. Yeah. It's just right down the road.
Thanks.
Never been to Bun Level.
There's Jimmy Neighbors. Another short track driver who wanted to get out here and give it a try at the Charlotte Motor Speedway, and it's bit him a little. He's in the car. We could see him moving about. The wrecker is already on site. Let's go to Mike Joy as those two leaders come down pit road.
Jack Sprague's crew is waiting for the second-place car. He's coming in a little hot, but manages to whoa it in time, locks it up. First can of gas is in. They're just going to look at the right side tire. Track position here more important than fresh rubber. So with one can of gas draining in, they send Sprague away. Now pitted right next door, you see the Richie Petty crew. A lot of Richard's team is right there, and the big cheer because Sprague beat the race leader off pit road.
Hey, Mike Joy, who's working on that car for Jack Sprague? That was a really professional pit stop.
Nobody you've heard of. They're all fellas that came down with his team, but they beat him out. Now, I mentioned Richie Petty. Here he comes into the pits in the 41 car. Of course, his uncle Richard made 43 famous. Lee Petty's grandfather ran 42, as did Kyle in his early years. So Richie will try to pick up the numerical game here with 41. He's had a pretty good run here today.
So pit road is where it's happening. They're getting out pretty good order. And that's part of it, too. You really have to know how to handle pit road. And this opportunity came. They all had to take a splash of fuel, which they did. And away goes Jack Sprague out there with Ward Burton. And I thought Ward tried to beat him out. Let's see how that goes.
They did have the hood up on Mark Cox's car. He's still in pit road, but he's just now pulling off.
And there you see the driver walking away from that car that socked the wall down here in the start-finish line area. And he was able to walk away. Jimmy Neighbors, Bun Level, North Carolina, being taken for the automatic checkup for anybody that socks the wall at historic Charlotte Motor Speedway. Back with more in a moment. Pace car is bringing the field by to complete lap number 57, I believe, this time. And they're showing Ward Burton made it by just a bumper off pit road in front of Jay Fogelman, I believe. 74, let's see. No, they're putting 74. Jack Sprague on the point. Now they're taking him back. Now this is the ultimate test. Let's see where they're going to put the 74. You see, when you run on short tracks, every driver after a caution period and every official and every mechanic has their own idea of who's leading, who's second, third, fourth, and fifth. Now, when you're running a Winston Cup, there's only one idea about how they're running, and that's Dick Beatty's. And so they're doing a little hand sorting here as we go around. Dick Beatty, of course, is the gentleman from NASCAR who's in charge of this race in the tower.
Dale Earnhardt was sponsoring a car in this race, and his car's out of the race. Let's go to the pits.
Robert Huffman was the driver. Now, what kind of report you're going to bring back to your sponsor after today?
Well, we just had a little trouble on our wire, and I'd like to thank Dale Earnhardt and the Innovative Solutions and my dad for making this possible for us. We really worked hard.
What was it like out there in the first Speedway Sportsman race? Did you have a good time while you were out there?
It was different, but I felt comfortable. You know, it wasn't a whole lot of different. You were just running a whole lot faster.
Ken, I think that's true of a lot of drivers out here today, and they come from varied backgrounds. You remember Dale Kreider from the 24 Hours of Daytona, where he raced a Datsun. Richie Burgess drives New York State Dirt Modifieds, and Doug Dodaro drives those 1,100-pound, 900-horsepower super modifieds in Oswego, New York. They come from all walks of racing. They're all here at Charlotte today.
And they're all seeing this race as an opportunity to find out what they could do in Winston Cup racing. Thank you, Mike. Now we're seeing a change. They've had the officials out on the track, and they're putting Sprague up in front, which is what we thought we'd seen when he pulled off pit road, which moves Ward Burton back to second. The number 87 of Jay Fogelman is in third, and Kurt Shelmerdine of the Dale Earnhardt team, his crew chief for Richard Childress' black number 3, is up to 4th position. He's kept his nose clean. He started back in the field, worked his way up to 11, and he's just settled down. He's doing some very good racing.
Well, it probably
out. He was 22nd.
Yeah, but it probably didn't hurt that he makes Dale Earnhardt's crew members, one of the best crews in motorsports, who all work for him, come in and pit his car. So they came in 8th and went out 4th, and that's certainly because some of those cars took gas only. They changed tires.
Our producers asked us to remind you that how well they're driving. And so for the fifth time, we'll say these guys are really doing really well.
I'm shocked because I was going in thinking it would be a lapper, and it's really been a great race. A lot better than I thought, and I think I underestimated these people. There's a lot of talent in this group.
Car number 74, Jack Sprague on the point. Ward Burton in second. Slow cars are on the inside, and the fast cars are on the outside. By that, I mean the cars that have been lapped are on the bottom of the racetrack. And up on the outside is Jack Sprague, and he may have a tussle here with Ward Burton. Remember that John's been putting the clock on them, and those two had stayed at the same interval for about 15 laps. They were both using a lot of patience, and that really is a virtue when you come to super speedway racing, to not get over anxious. They've done an outstanding job. The blue and yellow, number 74, Jack Sprague, has the leader, the Spring Lake, Michigan driver, out in front of the Virginia campaigner in second, and Jay Fogelman in car number 87 comes up here to take the flag in third spot. He from Durham, North Carolina.
Well, we're going to find out right now who has what. It's getting later in the race, and everybody really has to go for it. Kurt Shelmerdine got a good jump there, and he's going strong for third place.
Meanwhile, Bender Setzer was an 8. Ron Burchett jumps up into 6. Ron Burchett into 6. And here's your battle for the lead. Talk about a north-south skirmish. Here we are. It's a blue-gray game. And the man from the Confederacy on the inside, number 62, making his move. Ward Burton from Virginia challenging the Michigan campaigner. Jack Sprague here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway with 60 of the 100 laps complete.
For a second, that looked a lot like the Winston coming right in there. I tell you, they did a good job. Jack held the bottom of the racetrack, forcing Ward Burton to get out of it. Ward's car seems to be working a little better, and Jack's car keeps pushing up.
Here they are, side by side, and Shelmerdine has jumped up into third spot. 22nd, Kurt Shelmerdine into third. Look at this scramble. On the bottom, Ward Burton going for the lead, and he's going to get by into that spot. Almost gets touched. Back comes Sprague on the outside.
You can't race any better than that. It was a good clean pass, but it was forced close. This is looking awful good.
Shelmerdine continues in that third spot. It's Ward Burton back in front. He lost the lead, takes it back from Jack Sprague. Shelmerdine staying in third. Fogelman, the North Carolina driver, in fourth. Tim Bender from up around Buffalo, New York, is in fifth. Todd Bodine from Chemung, New York, sixth. Pete Pistone in seventh, and Dennis Setzer's number 4 is back there in 8th. Good race. 63 laps complete. 19 of Bender going up on Fogelman as they come down by the start-finish line. There you see the 2 leaders. And pulling away right now is Ward Burton, Jack Sprague in second. Then you see that Shelmerdine running in third, and that red and white car that's just moved to the bottom of the track. That's Tim Bender back around Jay Fogelman. 4th place. The number 19 car of Tim Bender getting around that light blue number 87 of Jay Fogelman. Here you see the leader. Number 52, Burton stays there, and then the blue and yellow car of Jack Sprague maintaining second spot. Good scramble. 63 laps complete. Further back in the field, a challenge about to be made on Shelmerdine for third. Now you see Shelmerdine in third, and moving up is Tim Bender to take another crack at it. There's your leader. Here's second. And now let's take a look at third, and that's where the scramble is. Down to the bottom of the racetrack. Edging, trying to move around, is the 19, Tim Bender, that red and white car. The number 25, Kurt Shelmerdine, still holds the position of that Chevrolet.
Well, you know, Tim Bender sat on the outside of the front row, so he had a good, strong car. Kurt Shelmerdine spun out in qualifying, but overall had the 5th qualifying time. So all these cars are very equal.
That light blue car is Fogelman. He was up in it. He's dropped back a couple of cars. Now he's running 5th, Pistone is 6th, and Dennis Setzer 7th. Maintaining the 8th is Todd Bodine, Randy Porter to 9th, and Jerry Rector to 10th. And Jerry Rector's done some fast running in this race. To the outside again with his trade. Can't get over how well Ward Burton drives. Seems like a pretty easy guy. Ward Burton staying out in front. I asked Ward how he thought he was going to do in this battle for 150 miles.
Well, the way the car's been running, I've got about 25, 30 laps under my belt. You know, I know that's not much experience, but the car is working real well for me. It seems like it'll go anywhere on the track, and I think we can possibly win it, and maybe not win it if we stay out of trouble. We'll have a top 5 finish.
Well, he's leading right now, continuing to stay out in front, and there's a great battle. It's been going for third, and now the car number 19, Tim Bender, has moved back around Shelmerdine and taken over in third spot. Here are the two leaders. In the back straightaway, and there's the 19 car. That is Bender. That is running in third. He is just past Shelmerdine in the 4th spot. This 19 car, as John was telling you, started outside of the front row, slipped back in this period under caution. We've really had just 3 cautions. We've had 5 spins, but 2 of them were not of enough consequence to bring out a yellow flag. Here's the 19 car, and he is drawing away rapidly from the Shelmerdine car.
He's only 2.3 seconds behind the leader, so he's making a hard charge.
Jay Fogelman in the 87, he's moving along in 5th spot. You see him just a little further back. Here you see the 19. That is your 3rd place car, Tim Bender. And behind him comes Shelmerdine, and Fogelman is also getting back up to challenge on Shelmerdine. Here are your 2 leaders. Ward Burton, the 62, and the blue and yellow number 74, right behind him in that 2nd spot. There he is, down into turn number 1 with 68 and 100 laps complete. They still set their own pace and ride them well, and that shows the experience they've gained on those short tracks. The most important thing you can learn in short track racing is in those sprints, those 25 or 30 lap races. Even then, when you really got to hang it out, there are times when you have to be patient. You just can't overdrive them, or you spend the next week or 2 fixing them. Back to the line comes Ward Burton. Showing a good run here all day. Qualified well. He's dropped back to 2nd spot back. His dad and Jeff Burton, I believe, are both down here today helping him. In the we've got a car losing an engine up in 4, smoking, but I don't believe he's going to bring out a caution. Here's that 19 car again in 3rd spot, Tim Bender. The number 70 car expiring. Dundee, Ontario driver, Doug Diderot, that out pulls in. You can see the smoke still wafting over turn number 4. Shelmerdine back to 4th in the 25, and the 87 car is rapidly pulling up on him. Look at Sprague trying to get another effort going here on these good, tough tires that Goodyear gave them. Pretty hard to break them down and pretty hard to use them up. That's exactly what they needed for this division. Now here you see the 4th place car, number 25. And right behind him comes Fogelman getting ready to challenge. Kurt Shelmerdine. We asked Kurt, what's a Winston Cup crew chief doing driving in this sportsman race?
I think it just makes it a little easier to understand what your driver's trying to tell you and make you a little bit more sympathetic towards his position. A lot of mechanics tend to be a little critical as drivers, and I don't think they should do that unless they try it one time.
Okay, well, he's giving it a one-time try, and he's doing well. Here's Mike Joy.
And what's the crew think of all this? Well, how's he doing?
He's not doing too bad right now. Pretty pleased with it, really.
Well, he doesn't say much on the radio when he's crew chief. Does he talk a little more when he's driving?
No, Earnhardt's doing most of the coaching right now. He's just trying to help him pick out a groove.
And right now, it's a little give and a little take. He gains a little, falls back a little, but he's giving a good account of himself. And right next door, Phil Parsons' whole crew is here, too, helping out Doug Bird, who maintains a garage just down the street from their shops in Denver, North Carolina.
Mike Joy, do you know where Dale Earnhardt's doing his coaching from today?
You can. He's got a nice easy chair up in his condominium overlooking turn number 1, spotting for Kurt.
Way to do it, Dale. Nice going. Here is Kurt Shelmerdine continuing in 4th position. And about 10 car lengths back is the 87, Jay Fogelman, trying to get in here and make a run on it. We now have 73 laps complete, coming up to the last quarter of the... And slapping the wall is a car on a turn number 4, and I mean, he took it a lick. It's Bodine in the 81. He's down here across the start-finish line, and he may bring out a caution. He came out of 4, and he really gave it a slap. He bounces down into turn number 1. He's dropping to the bottom of the racetrack in turn 1. In turn 1, trying to ease out of the throttle is car number 81, Bodine, who really took a hard hit. He bounced it back about 4 feet into the track.
Well, Mark Cox and Todd Bodine had been racing side by side for 5 laps, and they came up on slow traffic, and they split, and there was just nowhere to go, and got into the wall.
No caution is out. He bounced off the outside wall, and they keep him going. I like that. He's okay. He's bringing the car around. And there you see the youngest of the Bodine brothers, and won't he have some answering to do? There's Brett. There's Jeff. There's Kenny Bouchard. There's Bobby Hillen, all waiting with their arms crossed to have a few words about what he did up in turn 4.
Oh, I think they've all hit the wall in their day, too.
Meanwhile, up in front, Ward Burton in his Oldsmobile continues to lead by, see it here, 20-25 car lengths. You see him back to 2nd place. Sprague, the 24-year-old from Michigan, doesn't seem to have quite the horses that Ward Burton does. He had them a little earlier. Maybe his tires are going. Maybe his setting is changing just a little on that blue and yellow number 74. And we'll be back for the finish. We now have 76 laps complete here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway in this inaugural race for the new sportsman class after these words. We have another caution on the track. Phil Rogers spun in turn number 4, bringing out the caution once again. He almost had it fired to get out of the way, but they had to drop the flag. Let's look at what happened here, Johnny Hayes. He lost his way up almost long before 4.
I think he had it low, trying to pinch it down and let the other cars get by, and just pinched it too low. Probably hit the apron area and just shot around on him.
That's car number 8, Phil Rogers. Mike Joy is in his pit.
Kenny came in. He obviously flat spotted the 2 right side tires when he came around. They changed those, but in order to keep from losing more than 1 lap, sent him back out. He crunched the wall a little bit with the left front. It was not rubbing against the tires, but they may bring him back to check the left side and put tires there also as this caution comes out late in the race with just some 21 laps to go.
About this race. We've been sitting up here and talking about how well these guys are running. You've seen a lot of short track racing. You began up at Stafford Springs, Connecticut, and down here in the South over the years. Reaction?
Ken, I'm very impressed. I think the caliber of driving is much better than a lot of folks in the Winston Cup garage and on pit road thought it would be. They expected an event more like we've seen on some super speedways, where you get your 4 and your 5 car multiple pileups. We haven't had that today. You have a very heady young bunch of drivers, and I would liken it to a rider going to the Kentucky Derby for the first time. He's ridden on all sorts of tracks, but he comes to Churchill Downs for the first time. He's not going to go out there and screw up. He's going to give the best possible account of himself, because that's his future, and that's true for every driver that started this race today. I'm quite impressed.
Yes, as everyone here, you know, this is the most critical crowd I believe you can race in front of. The folks that come to the Charlotte Motor Speedway, they really know they're racing, and I think they're getting a treat out of what we're seeing with now 80 laps complete, 20 to go. And we anticipate a heck of a battle here as we have Ward Burton, the pole sitter. Spot his way back into the lead. Up in front, Jack Sprague, the Michigan driver, in second. The world snowmobile champion, Tim Bender, in third. While in fourth place goes Kurt Shelmerdine on this restart with fifth, Jay Fogelman.
I think the thing that impressed me is none of the fans are blessed.
Not a soul.
They're loving it. They're cheering it. They're into it. My hat's off to these folks. They've done a great job, and I'm much like I was a skeptic coming in, and I've been really impressed. This is the best Wednesday race we've seen.
Check your local listings for the Charlotte 300 coming up on Saturday. And what a tremendous race. The Grand National ranks of NASCAR, and you'll see it from World Sports Enterprise. Check your local listings for that broadcast on Saturday of the Charlotte 300. And all the super names will be out there in Grand National Racing. Waldron, Earnhardt, Ricky Rudd, Mark Martin, all going for it. Jeff Bodine, and of course the regular stars of that series, Tommy Houston, the Iron Man, Jack Ingram, Tommy Ellis from Virginia, and all the rest.
I personally like the 300 better than I do the 600. It's so exciting, and the cars are so close, and you get to see the Saturday guys race against the Sunday heroes, and it's fun to watch them go after each other.
And I think if there's any going after, and I'm sure it's all over, but that's the kind of race where Wallace and Earnhardt can really have some fun out there. They can be so inclined.
Oh yeah, and Waltrip's going to be right in there with them. So
and he drives so well in that division.
Yeah,
he loves that kind of race.
So it'll be
and so does Wallace. So that's the Charlotte 300. Check your listings for the broadcast from World Sports. And we're ready on a restart now with 81 laps completed, the 100 to be run. Ward Burton from Virginia, number 62 up in front. On the outside, the lap cars at the bottom of the track. Running second is Jack Sprague. Tim Bender in third. Shelmerdine in fourth. Jake Fogelman is in fifth. Dennis Setzer is back to sixth. Tom Pistone is seventh. Stanley Smith in a Buick is eighth. Randy Porter is ninth, and Mark Cox is 10th. Names that aren't everyday names in motorsports. To a lot of short track folks, they're very important, and they're names that mean to be here and be in the 600 and on Winston Cup trails in years to come. Here they are coming down this. Ward Burton from Halifax, Virginia, leading the field as he has almost all day, with the exception of, what, 1 lap? 2 laps? Coming down for it. We've had 4 caution periods officially in the race, and they've all been for minor spins, and they pinched them just a little bit on the inside, and it's been turn 4, where we've seen 3 different spins today. Here we are back underway, and it's also where Todd Bodine really slapped the wall. I thought they might bring a caution out for that for fear of pieces on the racetrack, but I guess these tires are made of ironware. Here we are back underway, and a great start by number 62, Ward Burton in the old. Look at him streak away. There's the front 4. Coming around this time, there'll be 17 laps to pay off. Ward Burton settles in very quickly, very nicely. Shelmerdine being told by Dale Earnhardt, sitting over here in turn 1 in his suite. He has his own condo there. He's sitting in an easy chair, giving number 25 instructions as he probably has lunch being served right now.
Shrimp cocktail.
I don't think that. I think he's having supper. He doesn't do that fancy stuff like that.
Hey,
Not Dale Earnhardt.
Earnhardt likes rich people and rich stuff. He just fakes that old country boy.
Here's number 74, Jack Sprague, a country boy from Michigan, going after this Virginia kid in number 62. And meanwhile, keep an eye on number 19, Bender. He's had a lot of experience in late model sportsmen up in the New York area. He could be a factor.
Bender seems to be working a little better through the turns than Sprague now.
There are the condos, and up there is the spotter for number 25. That's where Dale Earnhardt lives on race week. Here, just taking a look at what's happening. We'll be back for the finish of the 150 as we continue to watch Ward Burton lead and Jack Sprague in second with 1. Cuts the right rear tire. It goes sideways on him. There are the second and third place cars going by him on the outside. That was Sprague and Bender. He keeps it out of everything. He made a great save. Ward Burton of Halifax, Virginia. He's back on the track. There was no caution. You can take a look at another angle as we get down to the last 10 laps in the battle. There you see it again. And it was just that a tire went away on him.
There's nothing you can do about that. With all the stuff that's fallen off of cars, he just ran over something, cut it, and...
But it impresses me how cool he was. He doesn't do anything that gets him into more serious trouble. He gathers it back 2 different times, gets it on pit road. There was no caution. He's back on the track. And meanwhile, we've got this battle developing up in front. Here you see Sprague, the Michigan driver in a Chevrolet. Tim Bender from the state of New York in that Buick. 11 times he's won world championships in snowmobile racing. 4 times that driver in the white and red number 19 has won the Formula 3 class, which is the modifieds in those machines. He races for Yamaha and the factory snowmobiles, and here he is within 4 car lengths of winning his first super speedway race with now 10 laps to go. There's Henry Benfield, number 11. Henry's still out there, and I wonder what Darrell Waltrip was saying to him at this point.
Stay low out of everybody's way.
3rd spot is Kurt Shelmerdine. Jay Fulgerman is into 4th. Dennis Setzer has come back to 5th. Battle for the lead. 9 to go. Good scramble all day. Jack Sprague has stayed right in it, and so has Tim Bender, who sat outside of the front row. Falling back and actually losing a lap was Ward Burton with that cut tire, but only a lap. Says how well he handled that very nasty situation that developed in turn number 3.
You can't have racing better than this.
Here's the battle between car number 4. This is a battle for 5th position, and number 31, Mark Cox, is right there with him. That is Mark Cox in the 31, the red car, and with him is the number 4 car, and that is Dennis Setzer. That is a good scrap. Here they are back to the line another time. And 94 is in it too. That is Stanley Smith. Back with the leaders another time. Great scramble for 5th spot. And here you see that battle all the way down below the white line. That can be a little tricky. Here's 31 under Dennis Smith in the 94. That is Mark Cox in that red and white number 31. Getting under Stanley Smith and trying to close up on Dennis Setzer again. And for the lead, we still have Sprague in front. You saw Bender go all the way to the bottom of the track, down on the apron as he tried to get through. Here's 74 cutting that passage off. Jack Sprague staying in front now by 4 car lengths. And he's looking strong here at the end.
Well, I think Jack Sprague did a great job because Bender was under him, and he used the bottom of that racetrack.
Here's the battle further back. That is the battle for 6th now. Setzer has taken 5th. 31, Mark Cox on the inside, and Stanley Smith in number 94, the Buick, number 90 on the outside. Look at him wind it out. Boy, he's really giving it everything.
That's where you get high and get in trouble. They came close.
And they're still side by side. This is the fight that we're watching for 6th position. Back they come. Getting very high is 31 Mark Cox. He changes his line. He moved way up that time. And laps Henry Benfield another time. Back straightaway, the 31 has secured 6th position for the lead. 95 laps are complete. 5 to go. At 74, Jack Sprague stays in front. 19, Tim Bender, right there in 2nd spot, going underneath this man. Tim Bender trying to make the move, comes up on a lap car. Great move by Sprague. He parks his competitor. Using that lap car very nicely. Thank you.
This is like Winston Cup. I mean, these guys, you can't have any better racing than him. It's beautiful. I'm really pleased with it.
That's that business about looking half a lap ahead. And here comes that 19 again. And again, he finds a man on the inside. Sprague about a half lap ahead all the way around the track and using those ponds, those lap cars, very nicely as they run out. 96 complete, 4 to go. Looks like Bender may have a little more under the hood, just a bit more horsepower, but Jack Sprague has been driving beautifully, and he now pulls a 6-car length advantage. We'll see if Bender can overhaul him.
Well, I think Sprague has made Bender use his tires up a little bit, forcing it so hard.
You're right. That's just what he's done. He's made him go down. He's had to use the binders a couple of times and slide him out. That doesn't help matters much. Here comes Bender. Goes to the wall. It's just a bit higher out of 4. But you can see Sprague drawing away. John, I think you hit that one right. Further back, here is the battle for 2nd. There you see Shelmerdine. That is for 3rd. Shelmerdine in the 25. Jay Fulgerman, that number 87 car. Here he comes to the inside. right back into lap cars. It's being very well driven. They really paid attention. They had a couple of serious rookie meetings, and the spins have been minor. For the first time on a super speedway, I give these guys an A.
These drivers are flat using slower traffic to their advantage. The drivers that have the lead are really driving smart.
Back to the lead with 2 laps to go. We got 2 cars in the wall up in turn number 2. 4 rather, in turn 4. 2 cars, that's the 8 car has snarled the wall, and someone's come up to, and I think that may be Setzer that ends up there with it. That's too bad. Setzer had a great run going. He was 5th, and the number 4 car.
We are racing back to the flag, and this is for the victory.
This is for the victory. Here come those leaders, and look at this 19 go to the inside. He is giving it everything he's got. He knows this is it for all the marbles. Caution comes out, and it will be Jack Sprague. They'll finish this race 1 lap shy. They go under caution with a lap to go, and say hello to Jack. Michigan driver defeats world champion snowmobiler Tim Bender at the finish line, and what a move Bender made.
You just can't make racing any better than that. They have to dodge 2 cars in the wall going through turn 4, racing back, split another car, and race to the line, and they didn't hit anything.
This series was the creation of H.A. Huffy Wheeler, president of Charlotte Motor Speedway. Says, you know, Charlotte Daytona Dash Series just doesn't work. The cars don't really relate to what we're running in Winston Cup and Grand National. We've got to find a slower division which will make some sense for these folks. And what a performance they put on, and indeed it's been a great test and a tremendous opportunity for some guys to really get the sense and feel. And there's the checkers out for Jack Sprague, the winner. Tim Bender comes 2nd, Shelmerdine 3rd, Jay Fulgerman 4th, and Mark Cox will finish in 5th. And the excitement is the same as it would be for Winston Cup or Grand National. You're watching the World Sports Enterprises presentation of the Super Speedway 150 from the Charlotte Motor Speedway, and the action. Jack Sprague headed for victory lane here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. The first winner in the new Sportsman Division of NASCAR. Highly successful. He drove all the way around as if he was intending to take that lap of honor, which they do on the halves, thirds, and quarter-mile tracks of America. I think NASCAR flagged him down and said, please come back. He's coming the wrong way up pit road, trying to find victory lane. And now we have a traffic problem. This is the first serious situation. You can see right here that we could have a little bit of a problem. We have 20 cars going in one direction and Jack Sprague in the other. There he is, our winner. Now trying to get into victory lane. They make a break for him, and here he goes, scooting down through, asking directions. Pretty happy guy. He's pulled it off. Goes in the record book as the first winner in this new series of NASCAR, and it was highly successful here today in its christening. Jack Sprague going 150 miles, 100 laps, and how unfortunate the day was for the young man that sat on the pole, Ward Burton of Halifax, Virginia, who led most of the way only to cut a tire down and show what class he had in saving that car. Well, there's victory lane and a very happy Jack Sprague. Let's go there now.
Jack Sprague, congratulations. Can you believe it? First winner here at Charlotte in this division. Congratulations.
What's that?
I said congratulations.
Thank you, boy.
What kind of race did you have today?
Had a lot of catch-up. The car was real tight, especially after the pit stop. I'd just like to thank Robert Hamke. He's done me a world of good. My mom, my dad, my whole crew. I come without him.
Overcome with victory, Jack Sprague in victory lane here at Charlotte. A well-deserved win.
150 miles. 100 laps of competition for this new division, and it proved to be a sparkling performance for Jack Sprague, Tim Bender second, Kurt Shelmerdine in third, Jay Fulgerman fourth, as we get down to the conclusion. For Johnny Hayes, Mike Joy, and Steve Burns, I'm Ken Squire with the first Sportsman Super Speedway 150. Jack Sprague the winner.